Hello and welcome everyone, this is Madals and welcome to game 2 of this best of 3. It's from the ZvZ Cup between AcerBly, the orange Zerg in the lower left, and LZ, the purple Zerg in the top left. So, map Ahana, game 1 currently going to LZ in what some may argue was a little bit of a cheesy strategy, going hatch first, into gas, into a pool, fast speed, and then mass speedling. But my Bly, he did have out the Baneling Nest, but it just wasn't enough. LZ's constant reinforcements, the constant aggression, just meant the Bly had to finally concede after having lost far too much. So, we'll wait and see what this game has in store. Whether LZ will do something equally as risky, or whether it will be a straight up macro game. Whether Bly will try and get back at him. He's not going to 6-ball, that's for sure. He's going to extract a trick. There we go, so it's all good. Extract a tricking wrong though, which is less good. But we'll let him off because he just lost to a speedling all-in, which it's gotta hurt that. That's really gotta make you feel quite painful as a person. Just like, ugh, mass speedlings. I know I'm feeling that at the moment. For some reason, I'm playing nearly constantly on the Heart of the Swarm beta as random, and people like cheesing random at the best of times. But for some reason at the moment, and on the beta as well, I'm just getting cheesed every game, like ridiculously. And it makes me sad, to be honest. It really doesn't make me feel good. It's just like, oh, all I'm trying to do is learn all the different build orders and the new units and play around with them. But I never get to, because I'm just dead. Or they're dead. And it's kind of all over within 5 minutes. It's like a depressing outtake from some chick flip comedy where they make fun of blokes who are all over in 5 minutes. But anyway, let's come back to this game. For the moment, both players have gone for pool firsts. No sign of any gas yet. The expansion coming down at very similar times for both of these two players at the moment. And that means that, for the most part, they should have similar builds. The gas now on its way for Bly, so clearly wanting to get out that Baneliness, wanting to get out speed to be prepared in case there is another very early form of aggression out of LZ. So that's a good choice. You're adapting to what your opponent's doing. LZ really on the upper hand, and I would actually argue that in a best of 3 specifically, taking the first game is a huge advantage because you straight away throw your opponent into match point and you've got the buffer zone, so you're more relaxed. Your opponent is always subconsciously gonna try and adjust their build to account for what you did last time, if it was aggressive, if it was passive, or whatever it was you were planning. So really, you can kind of out-mind game them, and all these mind games start going back and forth, and you get double mind games, triple mind games, and mind games from mind games, which is kind of like those brain training things you get on DS as far as I understand. But either way, they are fun to do. Now, looking around the gas, still a mining for Bly. He's nearly up to 100. What's he going to do? Is he going to pull out those drones? The answer, I suspect, is no, so he keeps on mining the gas. Meanwhile, though, for LZ, no gas. There is no gas here in the slightest. He's getting his second queen up as well as a third queen, so straight away going up to 3 queens. That's going to allow him to be a bit more defensive, pick off a couple of banelings should they come in, and due to the fact he hasn't taken the gas, he's taking the lead in the drone count. Not by too much, but any second it's going to get very substantial, and as a result, we should see LZ get the better income. And if this game goes into the mid-game, he'll be in a strong position. The Baneling Nest now on its way down, and it's an interesting position to throw this Baneling Nest down. Most pro players you see put the Baneling Nest in this sort of position to create the wall off, and you can chuck an evolution chamber there as well, which I personally think is great. This way of doing it, you can obviously put the evolution chamber there later once the creep is spread a bit further. So it gets the Baneling Nest out a little bit quicker, but it just depends on how you want to play it. If the creep's already there, definitely put your Baneling Nest down to cover the ramp, because that way you stop speedlings getting in quite so easily. Bly now though, he's producing an awful lot of Zerglings. We do have the double queen and the spine caller though here for LZ, so he should be in an okay spot. Using the queen to push back all of the overlord scouting and now overcome these Zerglings. Speed is nearly finished, and of course there is no speed even started yet for LZ, who essentially is just getting down his Roach on an evolution chamber, going straight towards Roach Tech with another Evo as well. He's actually going to get some really nice wall-off positions here. I think that actually completely walls off. No, there's a small gap here. What am I on about? Yeah, the creep tumor will complete the wall off, so you can actually just come and move your stuff down there, and it won't be able to get in. And no, it does completely wall off without that. What am I even on about? I am confused. I am very confused. Zerg wall-offs are confusing. But yes, for the moment LZ fine. He doesn't have to worry about that early aggression. Because of that, because of the fact that he's completely walled off, with these 3 queens here for defense, it means that is allowing him to go straight to roaches without having to worry anything out. He's going straight away to get a critical mass of roaches that can deal with speedlings, and small numbers of roaches lose to large numbers of speedlings. But once the size of the roach army gets to a critical mass, obviously the surface area isn't large enough for the zerglings to engage effectively. So that's really what you're going to be looking for if you are trying to rush up to roaches, and this is a strategy that's getting more and more common, is going for this complete wall off to keep safe. Now, as you can see, the spine crawler is doing some nice poking and prodding, just getting a couple of zerglings. The first roaches now hitting the field. We have lair starting as well now for LZ. This lair timing is really important. It's allowing you to get out roach speed very, very fast. It's allowing you to be more aggressive, and it also opens up the options for hydras and infestors. And depending on what LZ chooses to do, which it appears to be the +1 missile attack, when he starts going for the double upgrades, you may it's quite common to actually see, rather than going for infestors, go straight to hydras, because then you benefit from the additional upgrades that your opponent may not necessarily have. And we're seeing already, with only the single evolution chamber down at the moment, Bly could theoretically get a little bit behind. The double upgrades now going for LZ. The advantage of going the hydras as well is you can get them out slightly quicker than you can the infestors, but the infestors, once they get up to a good number, fungal growth becomes incredibly potent against the enemy army. So you are trying to hit a little timing if you go for the hydras first, and if you don't get that, you do obviously need the infestors going into the late game. But so far these rocks are getting taken out. This is an indicator that LZ ready to go and take this third base. He's got his full wall off here, so needs a way out of the base anyway. And so this expands down to the third very nicely. We've got the Overseer morphing here, but two queens gonna poke and prod at it, but it should be fine and get away quite comfortably. The third now being taken, the third already down there for Bly, so straight away, if you know your opponent has gone for the third base, you're gonna be comfortable going for the third base. They don't have the money to both expand and put on too much aggression. I mean, these few zerglings, they can't really be considered much aggression, it's fine. So anyway, we do have road speed coming down. The 1-1 upgrades on the way for Bly. The 1-1 upgrades also on their way out though for LZ, so that's very equal. The third base is out for both. The key difference I'm seeing so far though is LZ getting the infestation pit. There we go. So the infestation pit already on its way down. For Bly it is finished, so he's already started the pathogen glands down. So again, tech-wise, they're looking very similar. Upgrade-wise, they're looking very similar. Base-wise, they're looking very similar. Worker count slightly in LZ's favour by 6, so not a huge amount. But that small worker count advantage will have an effect going into the later game, especially if it's sustained for quite a while. And we're seeing that LZ 4 drones compared to the 2 in production by Bly, and Bly really just trying to focus on getting some more units out, and that's reflected by the fact that LZ already has more units, more army supply, and has more worker supply, which is never something that is a good position to be in. Bly though now starting up the +2 missile attack, +2 started by LZ as well. I imagine we'll see +2 carapace started shortly for both players since they are going for the double upgrades. Burrow on its way down for LZ. That's going to allow him to micro these roaches effectively against his opponents, hopefully getting some more use out of them. No sign of tunneling claws though, so no enhanced health regeneration. 2 queens and a spine here. That's going to be able to hold off hopefully these zerglings quite comfortably, especially as they're going for the queens. They're not really being microed at all. We've got a handful of roaches poking in, having a look around, trying to find the best angle of attack for LZ, who seems to be happy to pull back. I don't know if he's slightly concerned about any aggression that could be coming in. He's got obviously this Overseer coming through, gets a good look at where, what is here, what have I got to deal with. He's got a good bit of scouting coming down. LZ sees how many roaches there are, what upgrades they are, does he have a timing window, and his answer is no at the moment. He's not in enough of an advantage to really push into that. He's only got a very small advantage in terms of the army supply for the moment. So his approach, away from my infestors. We've got 2 infestors out already there for LZ. Even though we have pathogen scans later, he is getting a good amount of infestors out quite quickly. 2 more on the way, the 4th for Bly about to pop, so that will level them up quite in a very similar position, and all in all, they are still looking remarkably close. This macro hatch, though, is going to push production in LZ's favour. All through this game, we've seen him been focusing on the actual macro side, the ability to produce and the ability to generate a good economy, as opposed to getting the slightly faster tech as Bly has chosen to go for. So that is paying off for LZ at the moment with the 74 drones to the 60. That 14 drone advantage is very sizable. It's something that is going to massively affect your income, as we're seeing here already. A big lead in terms of the mineral income. That's allowing LZ to produce, and we can see that quite a large supply difference between these 2 players at the moment. And considering their tech and upgrades are identical, that ultimately means that LZ is put ahead, and it's quite simple when you put it in that sense, and when you think about it in that way. So what can Bly do in this situation? He's got to take a tech advantage if he wants it. At the moment, he's chucking down these spine crawlers as a bit of an emergency to come and deal with this big push that's on its way over. He knows the +2's down. The upgrades are equal at 2-1 apiece, if I double check. +2 about to kick in. LZ, though, now going for the Hydras. More Infestors coming out for Bly. There's 5 Infestors at the moment for LZ compared to the 6 for Bly, but with his additional ones out, he's going to be in a good spot. Great fungal growth poking up there. These sort of fungal growths are essential to try and delay, allowing these spine crawlers to finish, but there's a big engagement coming on right now. Infested Terrans are the unit of choice for LZ, soaking up a lot of that damage, able to deal a lot more DPS. Those spine crawlers vaporizing it instantly. LZ with a great attack arc. Some more fungals are on their way down for the moment, but we can see here this Roach Force from LZ absolutely decimating Bly's army. That third base going down for sure, and with the loss of that third base, Bly is going to be in an absolutely terrible position. He's waiting for reinforcements to come in. So many roaches on their way, but LZ still maxed out, resupplying on Hydralisks, having taken out that third base while expanding to his fourth as well behind this. With the macro hatch as well, LZ's production is so superior to Bly's right now. The Bly is holding on for dear life. He's dropping down some Infested Terrans. He's trying to use those spine crawlers to the maximum effect. He's trying to push forward, and it looks like he will be able to force back this push from LZ for the time being. But just look at this resupply coming in. Look at how many units are in production. LZ already up to 170 supply. He's got his fourth base up behind this. Bly now just spotting that and knowing that his opponent has got 4 bases. He's got to counter push. Having lost his third and knowing his opponent is now 2 bases up, he's got to take this out. It's his only option, but it's a big commitment. There's a lot of Hydras and Infestors here and a very small Roach Force for Bly. He should be able to snipe off this hatchery before LZ engages. He's chucking down a few Infested Terrans, but if I was LZ in this position, I would happily sacrifice that base, because you've got your third, you know your opponent does not have a third base, so you're staying ahead, your army is going to be a lot bigger, and your income is going to be a lot better as well. Look at that difference in work account. The gas income, far superior for LZ, and the mineral income, far superior. The work account, far superior. So all of that means that LZ is super ahead at the moment. He's 60 supply ahead as well. He's supply blocking Bly as well, due to these overlords being on the field so far. A few roaches gonna get caught out of position as well now, and that means that LZ is going to just further punish Bly, who's very heavily supply blocked. Behind, of course, LZ, he's getting up his hive. He's also getting up his spire, so teching towards Broodlord's late game, taking the 4th base in the other position. But to be honest, this game is not going to go that far. We can see this final push in. Bly trying to get into the best defensive position he can. He's got a handful of spine crawlers there, but a great fungal growth goes off on so many of Bly's units. Good fungal growth also though for Bly against LZ, but these Infested Terrans are really starting to help. So many of them are there. This force pushing forward, 100 supply lead, and there is the game by Bly, and LZ will take the series 2-0. So congratulations to LZ. Remember everyone, if you did enjoy the cast, like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe. I get new games up daily, so I'll catch you all tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.